Saludos and salutations, Broncos country, and welcome back into another exciting episode of Broncos Talk. Ladies and gentlemen, do we have a banger for you guys today? The wild card round is officially over. We now know who is going to be the first team to step into Mile High and get their butts whooped and send packing. And we're also going to talk looking forward to the AFC Championship game because that's just how sure Libre and I are about making it to the next round. Plus, we're also going to go over the results of the wild card round, the good, the bad, and the Baki, as we like to say around here, and just get you guys ready, all excited, because you are not going to want to miss a single episode of today's show. So actually, it's any minute. You also don't want to miss the episode, but you also don't want to miss any minute. So bear with us, ladies and gentlemen, as we get on this roller coaster ride all the way to the Super Bowl, and the first stop is now. So, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure your food is warm, your beer is cold. You do not miss a single episode of today's show. So get ready, because here we go. And welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Adan Diaz, and joining me to my left or right, depending on which direction you're watching, is my co-host, the one, the only, my best friend, El Bronco Libre.
What's happening? Let's go, Broncos country. Now that the wild card division is finally done, now it's the divisional round. Are we ready?
No, I'm not ready, Libre, and I'm still mad at you because you're going to get to go to the game on Saturday, and I'm not.
You know what? I only say this for the little bit of time. Tay was only right about this. The haters are going to hate. So shake it off. shake it off.
Oh, it is going to be a very, very long but fantastic weekend. And we are glad that you are here with us to share in it all, ladies and gentlemen. Before we get started with today's episode, just like we do every single episode at that, got a couple things we got to get out of the way first. If this is your first time here, welcome in. If not, welcome back. By the way, I saw another TikToker use that exact same. I say that, like, welcome in, welcome out. I'm sending a cease and desist letter because nobody does that but me. Just for the record.
That's right. You need to send it real quick.
Real quick. But ladies and gentlemen, please, your support is greatly appreciated here with us on the Orange and Blue Network. If you could please subscribe, share, comment, and like on this and all the other videos we have here for you guys here on the Orange and Blue Network. If there's something you heard me and Libre talk about that you don't agree with, please feel free to hit us up in that comment section. Like the video to help us support the algorithm to get the message out to all of Broncos country that we are here to stay. And as we grow as a family, we all grow together. So your support is very, very, very much appreciated. For any business inquiries, you can email at broncostalk2020@gmail.com. For those of you listening to it through audio format, doesn't matter what platform you're listening to it, because our show reaches all of the audio platforms available out on the interwebs. Please, 5-star reviews are greatly appreciated. And if you'd like, you can send us a picture of that 5-star review. Send it to our Twitter handles you see there at the bottom. Mine is at a 6'10" Mexican. Bronco Libre is at Bronco Libre 5280. We'd like to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's show, which is Dubby. If you haven't heard, Dubby is here for you. So before we get that one, I pushed the wrong one. It's my first day back. No, Dubby has no sugar, no calories, no maltodextrin, no fillers, and no artificial colors. Basically formulated with nothing but amino acids, B vitamins, and nootropics, including their patented Neurofactor formula, and it's the caffeine, which is derived directly from the coffee fruit. Now, if you use the code OBN10, you'll get 10% off your order at checkout with all of your favorite Dubby products in your shopping cart. Again, that code is OBN10 to get your 10% off your order at checkout. Shout out to Dubby and the guys over at the Nothing's Wrong with Orange and Blue podcast for hooking you, me, and Libre up with this amazing offer. Also, ladies and gentlemen, we are getting close to the end of the season, but fear not, we have plenty of Broncos content for you in case this is your first time here and you don't know what we have in store for you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go over the show schedule with you. Please keep in mind that all the times I will be mentioning are all in Mountain Time, so please check your area for the conversion times in your area. So we have the Orange and Blue Blitz, which airs every Monday and Friday at 11 a.m. Then we have the Broncos Bros, which airs every Monday at 7. We have the flagship show, Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue, on Tuesdays at 7:30. Then we have the Mile High Symposium for those of you that are also Rockies and Nuggets fans, as well as Broncos fans, that airs every Wednesday at 2:30 p.m. just before this show does at 6 on the same day. On Thursdays, we have the Mile High Oukast at 7 o'clock. On Fridays, we have the Viva Los Broncos podcast whenever we don't have technicalities or things that pop up in Spanish every Friday at 7. And then for any breaking news, we have the Fresh Squeeze that comes to you live with the breaking news of the day. So make sure you hit that live notification button, the bell lit up, so that way you don't miss a single moment of the breaking news with us. And of course, before every game, we have the pregame show, which is the Get Bucked pregame show. For those of you that aren't able to watch the game, that's no problem. We also got you covered with the bucking booth that talks all play-by-play. And then we also have the postgame show, regardless of the result of the game, which is the Buck Your Feelings post-game show with Johnny and all the guys breaking down the results and any upcoming matchups, should there be any. I think I did better than last time, Libre. I caught my breath after being off for so long. Last week I was out of breath. I was out of it, and I know that I'm fat, but I was like fat that day.
And not FAT, but PHAT. Pretty hot and tempting. Oh, yeah.
The only time I'm pretty hot is when I'm standing under the sun, and for a tall guy like me, that
doesn't matter. It's still PHAT.
I can touch the sun sometimes. But ladies and gentlemen, we have got to talk about this crazy wild card weekend that we just had, and then we're also going to talk about the upcoming matchup, which has the Broncos facing the Bills. But I think that it's important for us to kind of relegate into this, Libre, just for the simple fact that if it wasn't for this, we wouldn't have our opponents for this weekend. So let's talk about the Buffalo Bills versus the Jaguars game, Libre. That game was crazy. I honestly thought that Jacksonville had it because they kind of were playing. They were at home. They were the underdog. It was almost like in it for them to win. And when you see Trevor Lawrence go out there and throw that, even though it wasn't on him, he was credited with that, that interception. And it that was a heartbreaker, Libre. And I wanted the rematch with Jacksonville. A lot of people on Twitter did not want to see Jacksonville come to Denver. I didn't care. Doesn't matter if you're Jacksonville, Buffalo, Chargers, whoever. Same ass that comes into this building, the same ass is going to get kicked out of it. It's just that simple, Libre. But shout out to the Bills. Congrats to them on a hard-pressed win. One thing you do not do is you do not underestimate Josh Allen, and I feel that the Jaguars did just that.
One thing that I have to say for this wild card round, typically you see the number 7 seed going against the number 2 seed and so forth, and you feel like these games are going to be blowouts. Some games are, some games aren't. But what I was really impressed with is all of these games were super competitive, very to the last play. What was it? 4 of the 5 games, or 5 of the games, of the 6 games or whatever, went down to the last possession or was within one possession of a game itself, one score. And that's one thing that I loved about it. That we have a competitive league when you have those type of games with that, spread of a 7 versus 2 and whatnot. But with the Bills being the 6th seed itself, them being out there, they're almost right there with the divisional champs. Again, the Patriots took it from them, but them being a top competitive team as well. And then Jacksonville still there, being the divisional champs themselves. That's why they hosted that game. But it's any given Sunday, Saturday, whatever it is. This is not how we talked about last week. It's not like basketball. It's not like baseball. It's not a series. It's one and done. You need to go out there, play your best game possible. And if you don't, you're gone. And that's what I love about football itself. It's not a series. It's not anything like that. But for that game itself, super competitive, and it was going back and forth. And I was like, dang, you couldn't ask for anything better of a game. And another game too that we'll get to it as well. But talking about this particular game, it was so good that I was like, if anything, I want Jacksonville to just run these guys down, make sure that they are exhausted, that they did everything possible. So when they do come here to Denver in the altitude and so forth, where it's the air is a lot thinner, that they're going to be hurting a little bit more for this game when they come in here, because they had a fight just to get here, just to be able to play here in Denver. And that's exactly what happened. So hopefully we, having that week off, taking advantage of it, and you know what, then just get that pressure and put it on Josh Allen and just get after him, because they're going to be dog tired by the end of the third, going into the fourth, where it's going to be an easy cakewalk for us.
I agree. And speaking of easy cakewalks, Libre, it looked like the Texans did a number on the Steelers. I mean, that Texans defense, it looked like the Broncos players were wearing different uniforms. I got to be honest with you, because that pass rush was nasty. Jesus. I will say, though, CJ Stroud, the way he's been playing, is not good. Like, the Houston defense is great. I give them credit. They went into Pittsburgh and they took down Aaron Rodgers. And all those guys, and they made it look easy. But at the same time, they kind of gave their blueprint. They put their blueprint out there on how they're going to win games. So for Houston, if they want to advance to at least the AFC Championship game, Libre, they have to clean up those offensive errors, because your defense, it can only do so much. And they just got really lucky that Aaron Rodgers and company were not good, because if they would have been good, if they would have gotten lucky, they had 3 turnovers, Libre. They took the ball away from Houston 3 times, and Pittsburgh was not able to do anything with it. So that was not good on their part. It really, really, it didn't make me feel sorry that they lost, because they had 3 different opportunities to not only take the game, but take the lead, but win the game, and they were not able to do that. And as we've seen in this league, Libre, if you do not do anything of that sort, when you get a turnover, whether it's an interception, fumble recovery, what have you, you have to put up points on the board, Libre, because those points come back to haunt you. And if you don't, it'll be a bad day at the office.
No, you're right. And but again, I feel like Pittsburgh's D was pretty good too throughout that whole game, because you have to remember is all the scoring came on the defensive side. You know, there was that one play or the one drive that they had on the offensive side, but everything was on the defense. But like you said, yes, they showed the blueprint of what they're going to be doing. And if you have a good defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator that's going to be able to dissect it, be able to manage it, or get the personnel in the right positions to defend that and be on the offensive side, you know, pun intended, and getting it out there, like you're going to be able to score points on them. But that their players are good. You know, they're just like our defense. We're good as well, but they just showed it. They just happened to score when they needed to. They're going into the fourth quarter and just put it out of reach for them.
Agreed. Let's say hi to some of the people here in the chat, Libre. Your cousin Juan Marquez saying, "Let's go Broncos country! Can't wait for Saturday." Neither can we, Juan. I'm so pumped and excited. I cannot tell you. Patricia Marquez saying, "Let's go Broncos." Shout
What's
out
up,
to
Prima?
You.
That's
cousin.
Thank you so
much for being here. We appreciate
that's my
your
Primo's
support.
wife.
Hello, Libre's Prima's wife. Thank you so much for showing us your support here on the network and on the show. Mahai Missy saying, "Hi guys, Mahai Missy."
What's happening? My sister from another mister.
She is awesome, Libre. She added me on Facebook a couple weeks ago, and I thought I was a Broncos fan. Mahai Missy got me beat by a mile.
Well, yeah, she does.
I thought to myself, I'm going to need a bigger Broncos fan. Your cousin saying, "My favorite game this past weekend was the Bears and the Packers, in my opinion. It really was.
That
As
was
a
one of the
person
good
that lives
games.
in Chicago and I was surrounded by Bears fans, my cousin literally gave up through halftime, and he's an Uber driver, so he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to work." I'm like, "Bro, you're not even gonna finish watching the game?" No, it's already over. Packers doing it, and then they come back and win, and it's like, bro, you never say never. Even if the Bears don't make a comeback, to me, that's like the most disrespectful thing you can do as a fan. Is even if you're not at the game, you're just like that, because that makes it look like you're not a diehard fan for your team. And my cousin really is. He's a diehard Broncos, Bears fan, supposedly. But us diehard fans, Libre, like you said, when you go to the stadium, even if the Broncos aren't winning, like at that Jaguars game, you stay in your seat until the final whistle blows. You know,
Yeah.
that's just what you do as a fan. You ride it out through the good and you ride it out through the bad. But leaving at like stop watch supporting your team at halftime, like, yeah, but I was listening to it on the radio. I'm like, yeah, but I can understand if you didn't have a choice, you know. But I don't know. That just kind of. I hope he doesn't do that for the division round. I hope he sticks throughout the end this time.
But you have to know this as well with the Bears, and they did it all season long. That's why, like right after that game, after they won, people already on Twitter and everything else was saying the cardiac Bears. It's like this is what they do. They come from behind and win games. It's just like what the Broncos did all season long as well. It's like it kept it close, and we were there at the end to be able to win it and give us the opportunity to win the games. And the majority of the times we did that, for the exception of the 2 games that we lost there at the beginning of the season, one that you were in person to witness. Johnny Bakke was there back-to-back weeks to witness it.
Gotta love Bakke. Guillermo Morales saying, "Hey, Elias, can't wait for Saturday. # Broncos Country. # Climb
Machete! Let's go, primo! Cheers, we got this."
Cheers to you, Guille, and all the guys, people, lucky people at that are gonna be at the Broncos game this Saturday. I hate you all equally, just so you know.
Haters gonna hate.
Tim Dog saying, "What up, fellas?" Tim Dog.
What's up, Tim Dog? What's happening, my bro?
Thank you so much for your support. And you know what, Libre, since we'll get to the NFC side at the overtime segment. What do you say? Since, we're not even going to cover the Chargers and the Patriots, because we're just glad that the Chargers lost. They shouldn't have been in there anyway, my personal opinion. But ladies and gentlemen, we now know our opponent for this coming Saturday. We've already said it. We spoiled it but that's just how I am. I'm not good at keeping secrets, Ray. Don't ever tell me a secret, because
Good to know.
Like, if I knew who you really were under the mask, like your face would be all over billboards and stuff,
Well, that's a good thing that I haven't shown you my real face.
You're Batman.
I'm Batman.
But ladies and gentlemen, the Broncos are going to be facing the Buffalo Bills. You heard Libre mention it a little while ago when we were kind of recapping the Jaguars-Bills game, and he does bring a good point, and I didn't even think about that, Libre. Josh Allen is rumored to be banged up, not severely where he's questionable for this game, but he's definitely not 100%.
Yeah, he was limited in practice yesterday, and right before we got on, I saw the update for them, but I didn't get a look at it. I saw from Adam Schefter that he posted it on Twitter, but I think he might have been limited again today. But again, limited just so much as like it's a rest kind of type of week for him. You have to remember, they've just gone through this for several months. They know the system, they know what they're doing, but he needs that little bit of time to help heal up, especially from the game that he just had over this weekend.
Yeah, and I will say, Libre, the one thing that the Jaguars did do very good was they took the Buffalo running game away from them.
Mm-hmm.
James Cook was completely almost invisible that game. So I thought that with them doing that they would have the leg up, because that was going to make Josh Allen throw the ball or, run with the ball. And, I'm pretty sure Bills fans, they hold their breath every time they see Josh Allen scrimmage, because they know he's going to get hit hard because now he's a runner. He's not protected. So, but See, here's the thing. The thing that makes this game a whole lot more interesting for us in Broncos country, Libre, especially if you guys notice what the title of today's episode was, is that this is our revenge game for what happened last year. As you guys know, both of these teams were wild card competitors. We went into Buffalo. It was kind of like watching the game with John Elway in Washington. The exact same thing. Broncos hit it off running with the touchdown to start, and then the offense just went invisible after that. So we definitely owe it to Buffalo to send them home this time, just like they sent us home last year. Last year, I will admit they caught us off guard. It was Bo Nix's first year. The defense definitely got rattled and shaken. I know Pat Surtain has definitely got his calendar circled for this day because he literally was one of the last plays where it was just like we knew it was over. Because if PS2 can't stop you, then it's looking grim for our Broncos. So we definitely need to hit the ground running. The only thing I do think, the only player I'm pretty sure we're not getting back, Libre, even though he is kind of practicing, is J.K. Dobbins. They do say that they hope if the Broncos make it to the AFC championship game that he would be ready to go for that game.
I'm excited for that. And if that's the case, it's going to be a great addition back to the team with the run game that we're going to need, because that's something that is going to help us propel us to be that next level. So now we're not going to be one-dimensional, even though RJ Harvey has been doing a great job over these last several weeks that he's been out, but it'll be a great, that security blanket going into the AFC Championship game and into the Super Bowl if we happen to make it that far. But no, overall with the defense and the way we talk about this as being a revenge game itself, this is a whole different team now. We actually have a part of our defense can be able to stop the run now. We're going to be able to have, it looks like Greenlaw is going to be available for us this week as well. He's going to be coming back from his injury with his hammy. But we're going to be able to hopefully stop the run game and stop James Cook so that they're going to be one-dimensional, and then having Tufunga or having someone else spy Allen so that if he is going to be running out, he's going to be met at the line or not that far from getting a couple yards and not having these big plays like he did, like what he's normally doing, like what he's capable of doing. But I think our offense is better as well from what we were last year. Like you said, last year came from a surprise. I would say, you know what? We were more of a surprise getting into the playoffs just because of what we were doing. And then I think they were just satisfied that we got into the playoffs. And I think it was a little bit bigger than what they were expecting. This year is a complete different story. This team is ready. They're ready to go. And it's all because of our head coach, Sean Payton. He knows how to get these guys ready to go. He's already getting the stadium. He's already telling the stadium, hey, typically you go out there and you're accustomed to making noise after they're breaking the huddle. I need you to go out there and start making noise as soon as they're going into the huddle itself. And he goes, I don't need it for the whole game. Just the 10 seconds right there when they're trying to make that call. Make it harder for them to make that call. So that alone right there just tells you what a great leader he is. Not only is he trying to lead his players that are on the field, he's always trying to get the fans as well and in there. And one thing that I have noticed this year, and me and my son were just talking about this yesterday, and we're talking and saying, you know what? What I love about this year is like we've been a lot louder here inside the stadium this year than I think we've ever had. We've been in the 15 years that I've had season tickets. And he goes, yeah, it has been louder. And trust me, that right there is just a true advantage, another home field advantage that we have here going into this game. This house is going to be rocking, and it's going to be loud, and I can't wait for that. It's going to be super excited for it, and I don't think the Bills are going to be ready for us, actually. I think they're riding high on their morals from last year, and I feel that that's what they're relying on, but they're going to be surprised, and they're going to get BTA.
Your cousin jumping in saying, keep a spy on Allen all game and offensively start running the ball against their defense. That's not a bad idea, one, to keep a spy on Josh Allen, but you have to remember that if you do, you're taking a player away from the 11. So that's a bit of a risk. I'm not saying it wouldn't pay off, I would use that more against the more mobile quarterbacks like your Lamar Jacksons, your so and so.
True.
I'm not saying that Josh Allen isn't mobile, but you take a big risk because it's not going to be one person that's going to take Josh Allen down. Josh Allen is a big dude. So it's either you bum rush them all, or if you hope that whoever it is, if it's Greenlaw or Sternad or Alex Singleton, can hold Josh Allen until the cavalry gets there to make sure he doesn't scramble and do more. But you don't want to make it too obvious either, Libre, because if you do that, then Josh Allen is going to know, and then the other 10 guys are going to have to fight a whole lot harder to cover the wide receivers and core. Plus, I'm still not sure if Brandon Jones will be good to go this coming Saturday. I haven't heard any reports on him coming back. I think he might be out another game before he can come back from IR. Hopefully, I'm wrong. Well. Hopefully, I'm wrong. I don't know why this bye week didn't count towards his recovery, but it's hopefully Locke is good to go, and of course Hufanga, that guy has been playing lights out football. He's been amazing, so we need him to step up for 3 more games.
So my thing is here, these are going to be the keys to this game. Their wide receiver core is hurt. They are really low on the wide receiver core. Yeah. But where they do excel at is getting the ball out to the tight ends. And that's something that we are going to have to step up and play very well, because they have 2 good tight ends right now.
Kincaid.
They have Knox and Kincaid. Yeah. So if they need to go out there and we need to control these guys, if we're able to limit these guys to less than 100 yards receiving, we win this game easy. Because it's going to be that's where they're going to hurt us, I think, the most are those 2 guys, because they just put a couple of their wide receivers out on IR with torn ACLs from last game. So now that they have a depleted wide receiver room, nobody's going to be able to go in there and actually do that. Do we get PS2 on Kincaid? Do we put PS2 on Knox? Do we put Riley Moss? And that's another thing that you have to think about as well. Where are they going to put these guys? Are they actually going to put them out wide? Are they going to leave them in as tight ends or whatnot? Or that hybrid, especially with Kincaid, because he's really good. But that's the thing, is if we can hold these guys to under 100 yards receiving, the game is locked down and we win this game easy. But if they get to 100 yards or so, I feel like it's going to be a lot closer and it's going to be a tight game. And when it's going to be one of those games is who has the ball, the last possession of the ball, to win the game.
Yeah, and as we said, let me rephrase that. As I said last week, the Broncos defense needs to slow down a little bit getting to the ball. I know they want to get there quick. They want to be like Hufanga, but as we saw the last 2 games, Libre, the getting too quick to the ball, we saw Riley Moss miss a lot of tackles because he's flying to the wide receiver, but he's not stopping himself in time. So he's trying to tackle somebody while he's in midair or while he's in mid-sprint. And that gave Jacksonville way too many unnecessary opportunities in that game. And against the Chargers in that game, they gave them it kept them too much in the game. Big is what I'm trying to say. So while I do appreciate the hustle, I do appreciate the oof, you got to learn how to pull back a little bit. Get the wide receiver to kind of dance a little bit. Get him to wait until the other guys come up and help you make the tackle, because the thing that's crazy, Libre, is aside from the Houston Texans Steelers game, all the other teams that made mistakes, interceptions, missed field goals, all that stuff, in the end came back to bite them in the ass.
Mm-hmm.
All of them. And this is the playoffs. You cannot make mistakes, because mistakes like flags, missed tackles, interceptions by your quarterback, fumbles, all that stuff, all these mistakes will come back to bite you big time. Again, with the exception of the Houston Texans, because by all means, they should have lost that game, giving the ball away 3 different times. But CJ Stroud is lucky he has the defense he has. And that's just the God honest truth. But for everybody, they won't have that same that same luck. So we definitely need to go into this game, Libre, with minimizing those mistakes, keeping the laundry clean. The Broncos did a pretty good job the last couple games, not being one of the most penalized teams in the league. And whenever Bo Nix has the ball, we have to put up points, because one point that a lot of analysts are making, and I have to agree with them, is the Broncos offense needs to be able to keep up with that Bills offense, especially if Josh Allen starts to get going and the Broncos defense is starting to bend but not break. We cannot be punting the ball and expecting the defense to bail us out every single time because the offense couldn't do it.
No, and you're right, because we're talking about playoffs. This is the playoffs where those mistakes are heightened. They're more elevated. And that's something that we definitely have to be able to control. And I can't remember who the actual referee is for the game, but they're talking about he is prone to, like, prior to a certain year, he was like 79% of the time that the home team would win the game, and all the penalties were going against the opponent, the visiting team itself. But over the last year or two, they did all the numbers and everything's about equal. Like, and he's one that does a lot of defensive penalties, like defensive PIs, and what is it? A lot of holdings, I think it was. But and again, and it's not, he's not favoring one side or the other. It's like really split down the middle of that type of penalty. So with the Broncos being the number one team with defensive pass interference, that's something that we're going to have to be able to control this game, that it's not going to cost us at the end. So if we can actually take care of that part, if Riley Moss is able to take care of it, because I feel like that's already like a magnifying for this ref, for Riley Moss, is like, we need to see what's happening with him. Like, if we can eliminate that, this is going to be a very good game. Both sides of the ball, the defensive battle is going to be good. And it's just who makes the least mistakes, that's going to be the victor of this game.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I actually just saw a video, I think, on TikTok last night on it. And I don't know why I didn't send it to you, but yeah, if I can find it again, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really big game for Bo Nix, ladies and gentlemen, because it's I don't want to say you know, like, I expect him to play a mistake-free game because he's still only in the second year, but given what most of the last second-year quarterbacks have, with the exception of Caleb Williams, Libre, those other guys are really, really in a tough spot. I mean, we saw we're watching CJ Stroud is just struggling. You know, we saw Jaden Daniels last year. He was the talk of the town, and now he's was on the outside looking in. It's like he hit just a completely different direction. JJ McCarthy, he's still a work in progress. It's not his fault he got hurt his first year. This is technically his first year as a starter, and he definitely struggled. And then Caleb Williams, he struggled last year with offensive line issues, and you know, Ben Johnson came into town, and now all of a sudden the Bears they're trying to play for a trip to the Super Bowl as well. So I do expect Bo Nix to go out there and play his damnedest. I don't expect him to play a little bit more or less and hope that he can play a little bit more better in the AFC, or should they get to the Super Bowl. I just need him to go out there and be Bo. One thing that I've heard a lot of people say that he should do more, and I agree with it, he should use his legs more when given the chance, because he's a really good runner. We've seen him do it plenty of times where he can go and pick up speed. Again, I hold my breath when he runs because those linebackers are not going to hold back. They're going to come charge at him and hit him. But I'm not saying do it every single time. But when he does, try to get out of bounds, try to get down, you know, before you get hit. You know, play it safe, or try to anyway. But don't throw interceptions. Don't drop the ball. Don't fumble. None of that stuff. Trust your pocket. The Broncos have one of the best, if not the best, I should say, offensive line in the league. Buffalo does not have good pass rush, so it's going to take those guys more than a minute to get home. So I expect our guys, our wide receivers, to get open and give Bo a chance.
So talking about getting out there and you being scared, when you play scared, you're going to get hurt. But the thing is, Bo, I agree with you. We just need him to be a game manager. If he's a game manager, this defense will ride you and get you to the promised land. 2015 is a proof of that. It's very proof that we don't need to have this defense. Like I've said it all year long, that this defense, this 2025 defense, is better than the 2015 defense. I've seen videos with Aqib Talib with the DMVR crew talking about how he says that this defense is excellent. They're elite. And he's, without saying it, he's been saying like that this defense is better than that year's defense, being they were the no-fly zone. That's how they were worded. But he is all with the Broncos. He's on it. He goes, you know what? Tell me, I'm not afraid of anybody. He goes, let's get out there, and doesn't matter who we're going to be playing. We're going to be out there because this defense is elite, and they're going to take you there very far. And what we just need, just like in 2015, when Peyton Manning was going through there and Brock Osweiler was there, is just going out there and just throwing out the ball and being a game manager and not turning it over. And if we can do that, trust me that this team will continue to go in further and further into the playoffs. And if all else works for us, we'll be there in San Francisco on February
8th. Another thing I want to hammer out, Libre, is a lot of people, well, I don't know if I should say that, but some people were actually not happy with the way the wild card round ended because a lot of those games were not high scoring games. They were not your 30-30, aside from the Bears and Packers game, the cardiac Bears and the cardiac Broncos, so to speak. But I don't really care. Okay. I don't care if the Broncos win by a field goal or by 1 point or if they win by 30. I need these guys to win because I do not care if they go out and be what's a good offensive, like the Cowboys, let's say, for example, offensively. I don't need them to go out there and be the Cowboys offense. I just need them to go out there and put up more points than Buffalo until the end of the fourth quarter. And then we can worry about heroics and all that mess later on down the road. I just need these guys to win, Libre. So hopefully, again, I'm going to lay on Bo Nix. Hopefully he doesn't decide to play hero ball. Hopefully he doesn't take any chances where he doesn't, or put the ball where it doesn't need to be, because last week or 2 weeks ago, there were a couple times where the ball should have been intercepted because Bo put it in a place where it shouldn't have been, and it was really dangerous, but he got lucky, let the defensive back drop the ball. Otherwise, it could have been a bad day and a bad start for that Broncos team.
So talking about how you were just saying that a lot of people were not happy with the way that how some of these games that they're low scoring. Mm-hmm. Those people right there are casual football fans. They are there just for the highlights, all the glory of the game. The true glory of these games is these defensive battle games. If you're a true football fan, you love these type of games because you understand the game, you understand what's happening and what's going on. Yeah, it might be boring. It may not be all exciting, just like a lot of the people have been talking about the Broncos all season long because they haven't been high scoring. They haven't been that crazy. But you know what? We understand what's going on. And look at us. We're already underdogs. We're 1.5 points opening. They opened it as us being underdogs. Mm-hmm. But again, like Bo Nix has said, let them. Go ahead, because we're overdogs. Because we're going to go out there and overperform what people are expecting us to do.
I mean, I get it. I really do. And obviously, the NFL wants both of these guys to go out there and put out a show. Hell, I want them to go up put out a show. But I just want these guys to win. The Broncos, of course. Not
well, Broncos country, that's what we want them to do. That's exactly what we want. And better yet, it's a revenge game from last year, them taking us out 31-7. But you know what? Again, like how I said earlier, this is a different team. The Bills are not going to be ready for this team, I don't believe.
I don't believe so either. I honestly don't. Again, shout out to Gabe Davis. Hopefully, wishing him a speedy recovery. Really, really sucks to see him. I think he tore his Achilles. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
And same with Shavers.
Yeah, Shavers too. So like Libre mentioned a little while ago, the Buffalo Bills might be coming in here with some practice squad guys, guys that we have probably never heard their name mentioned. And that's just what Josh Allen is going to have to work with. But whatever the mistakes or the injuries or the weaknesses are of this Bills team, the Broncos have to capitalize on it every single time and not make the mistake of letting your foot off of the pedal. It's pedal to the floor. Do not give them an inch because they will take a mile. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you, Libre, is the Broncos cannot take Josh Allen for granted because that's how he's made his comebacks when other teams have thought that they had it in the bag. So, they kind of start relieving the pressure, taking their foot off, and here comes Josh Allen, and then comeback victories galore. So that's what we don't need and don't want to happen, especially in Mile High. Plus, with the Broncos being the number 1 seed, Libre, they are slated to be the best team in the AFC, regardless of what people outside of Broncos country say. Because with the Broncos continuing to win and just putting W's on the board and going as far as to win a Super Bowl, that's going to shut up so many haters that have been doubting this team since week 1, Libre. And I, for one, cannot wait for that to happen.
I agree with you 100%. I can't wait for that as well. But again, this team is built different. You could see it. They're built to win those close games. A lot of teams aren't. And if you have a close, tight game, especially now you have in the playoffs where everything is so much more, this team has already been battle tested. We've been there, we've done that. Just like how they put on when we won the division. Been there, won that. That's not a saying that I liked or anything like that, but it's true. They've been there, they've done that, they won it, and nobody can take that away from us. If it's going to come down to the last moment of the game, and if we have the ball, or if it's on the defensive side and we're having to stop them to win the game, this team has been battle tested, and they're going to be able to do it again.
I don't know who this is, Libre. It's a new name to me. Joe Blow saying Bills make comebacks because the defense locks in the second half. I can't attest to that because I don't watch every single Bills game, Joe Blow. But I will say the one mistake that Jacksonville did make, and it was a big one, is that they got away from their running game. For some reason, Liam Cohen made Sunshine throw the ball a whole lot more that he probably should have. So the fact that they were not running the ball, with the Bills being one of the, I don't know if they're the weakest run defense teams, but they're not one of the strongest, definitely. So when you keep, and I said this before with Bo Nix, when you keep forcing your quarterback to throw the ball more instead of trying to integrate runs, you're liable to make those types of mistakes. And for Sunshine, he made that mistake twice, and the Bills were able to capitalize on it. So, but you can make that argument, Joe, with any defense, because that's how the Broncos were against the Giants. They locked it down in the second half. They came back and won that game. So that logic goes for anybody, not just the Bills. The Bills make comebacks because, to me, I'm going to counterpoint you, Joe. The Bills make comebacks because Josh Allen locks in. And then you start seeing him throw the ball more or running with the ball more, putting himself out there and literally throwing himself in for touchdowns whenever he can hand it off to James Cook or to one of his tight ends. So that, to me, is what gives Bill the comeback, is Josh Allen. If you take Josh Allen out of that game, Libre, and you put in Mitch Trubisky, it is night and day, man. You are not going to get the same out of Mitch Trubisky as you would Josh Allen.
Nope. And you know that firsthand because he was there in Chicago.
Yeah. He was here. He was a Bear. And people were on the Trubisky hype train for a while. And then they went out the door. But thank you so much for your observation, Joe. Appreciate it. Your cousin says anything less than a win is unacceptable. At this point, my passion will help them. They will feel me even from Arkansas. Broncos country, get loud. Woo!
Ooh, like Ric Flair said.
I will say, Juan, you do bring up a good point. We have to keep this in mind, ladies and gentlemen. The farther this team goes, if they can't get to the third win, but the higher they go, the more it's going to hurt if they lose. So if they lose this weekend, like, yeah, it's going to hurt, but it's something that we can get over pretty quickly, just like we did last year. We got over that pretty quick. But AFC Championship game, if they lost that, that's going to hurt, and that's going to take some time. I don't know if Broncos country is ready to lose another Super Bowl, Libre, because every time I hear the name MetLife or see pictures of it, I get flashbacks. So
funny that you say that. I just had somebody in my TikTok comments saying, if you guys happen to make it to the bowl, you don't want to see the Seahawks. And I said, you know what? I would actually like to see that because we'll revenge that Super Bowl 48 loss. I go, yes, both teams have great defenses, but Sam Darnold is not going to be the guy that's going to be able to win that game for you, because what Sam are you going to get? Are you going to get the good one, or are you going to get the bad one? And trust me, when you're going against another elite defense, you're going to probably get the bad one, because it's going to be proven, because Sam's going to do what Sam does.
I honestly don't think that the Seahawks are going to get to the Super Bowl. They better hope that the Rams knock out the Bears, because if the Bears win and they knock out the Rams, they're definitely going to be wanting a rematch with the 49ers, because that Sunday Night Football game was probably the best of the season. And Seattle, I'm telling you, man, like, they do not want any part of it. They have a better chance of going up against LA because they've actually swept LA. So yeah, they'd much want to go that. But again, they have to get past San Francisco. Now, San Francisco's going, it's almost pretty much just like the Bills. They're limping into Seattle. They lost George Kittle, one of their best players. He's out for the season with a torn Achilles as well. So, you know, it's going to be a very, very interesting divisional round, Libre. We may get a couple of surprises. We may get a couple of, hey, you know what, we already knew it. But whatever it is, we cannot wait, because it is going to make for some of the best football we have ever seen. But going back to your question, Juan, just get ready, man. That's all I can tell you. Just get ready. Hopefully we don't have to bust out the box of Kleenex, and hopefully me and Libre don't have to take another vacation to get
Hey, but you know what? Let me tell you how diehard of a fan that my cousin is. His job scheduled him on Saturday, and he said, you know what? You better find somebody else right now, because I'm not going to go in. He goes, you can already call me calling out. And he lives in Arkansas, you know? So he already, you know, that's how diehard he is. He goes, I'm not missing a game. I've already told you from weeks ago, we don't know what day the game is on yet, but once we do know, don't schedule me. And guess what they did? They scheduled him for the Saturday. He goes, I'm not showing up. Either take me off or I'm calling out, because I'm not showing up. And it's really, I think his boss goes, damn, is it that hardcore? He goes, damn straight it is. Mm-hmm. And guess what they did? They filled their spot with somebody else.
Wow.
I know, all the way in Arkansas. Wow. Arkansas.
That's all I can tell you, Juan, is just get ready. Have like an emergency Kleenex and, you know, a list full of excuses like the rest of.
I don't have no emergency Kleenex because we don't have to worry about it. The only Kleenex that I'm going to need is a napkin, because I'm going to be having all this Buffalo Wild Wing sauce all over my hands, because that's what we're going to have for our tailgate, is we're going to have buffalo burgers and buffalo wings.
In front of the Buffalo fans, Libre?
Damn Skippy. And we're going to do it on a table. And might crash through it.
I was going to say, if you can get one of those buffalo wing hats.
There's this guy. He's that is I think he goes by Buffalo Wing on his social medias, and he has one of those foam actual drumstick and so forth. That's pretty cool that he has. And he has a big old, like how you're wearing your little thing. He has one that has like a wing as well. There
Shout
you go.
My cousin for hooking me up with this awesome Broncos chain for my birthday. Love you guys. And your cousin says, do you even Broncos, bro? This is Cell Block D.
Shout out to my bros on Mondays. The Bronco bros.
I don't think we have that graphic anymore. I think Johnny took it off. But he's supposed to update it because the old Cell Block D graphic still had Greenlaw and Hufanga in their
49ers. Yeah.
So need a better one, boss, whenever you get a chance. Jay Weaver saying, boys, how are we feeling about our run defense versus the jumbo set that Buffalo used to kill us last playoff game?
You know what? Again, like I was saying earlier, Jay, these are two different teams. And I feel like this year we're going to be able to stop the run. And if we can have James Cook minus or less than 100 yards, we'll win this game easily. If he gets to 100 yards, and I was just saying this about with Knox and Kincaid, if they get over 100, then it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be a close game. It's going to be a little bit difficult for us to win it. But I do feel like Sean Payton has put this team together to help stop that itself. And I feel like we're going to be able to dominate on the run defense itself. And they just, they're just helping us out with their passing game where they don't have, all the weapons that they need to be fully effective against us.
Yeah. Plus, you got to remember, Jay, that we didn't have a Greenlaw and a Hufanga last year at this point. So now that we do, the Bills definitely have to try to run a different scheme because I'm pretty sure that when they looked back at that tape on Monday, they saw their mistake that they made against Jacksonville, and that was that they tried to run the ball, and Jacksonville did a fantastic job. Got to give them credit for that, stopping the run. You barely heard James Cook's name after the second quarter, I want to say. So if you can take that away from Buffalo and you make Josh Allen be the hero, it's like you got to pick your poison at that part. And I think that dealing with Josh Allen scrimmaging for yards is much more manageable than with James Cook, because I'm pretty sure the Bills have done their homework on Denver Libre, and they've seen Hufanga when he comes down for the blitz. That guy's like a mini Palomalu. He comes in like a missile, and so far he's only missed once because he came in flying so fast. He missed a tackle that I've seen.
Yeah,
I'd be wrong,
but and it's just something that we just saw because it was just recent as well that happened, and it was just at a big point of the game as well. But you're right. He's going to be out there. He is a wrecking force. And like I mentioned, I don't think they're going to be ready for this Denver D because it's a complete different team. Just even if we just added just those two guys, it's a whole dynamic different. It just seems different from last year. And this team is more built to excel here and now in the playoffs.
And then we got Mount High Missy saying, same here. It's stock show weekend, and I'm scheduled for Saturday. Laughing emoji. I'll be at the game and not at work.
Hey, best part, I'll see you at the tailgate.
Hey, I'm off on Saturday. Hell, I've been off all week. I go back to work on Friday night. So because it's how it is for us in the hotel business. We get really slow after the holidays. So from January to I want to say, well, we have a new management company, so we don't know how things are going to be yet. We've only been with them for like 4 or 5 months, but pretty much we've been through the same song and dance with previous management companies where they only pay the essential people, which is the front desk people, your housekeepers, and your engineers. You need those guys there every day, obviously, because you're a 24-hour business. But us CS guys, if people aren't planning rooms or meetings, Mostly it's the month of January that's the hardest. That's when your PTO comes in handy. But thankfully for me, I don't have enough PTO to go around this time because we cashed out with the previous company. We had to. And that's when Uber comes to the rescue to save my butt for when does wedding season kick off? Libre, like April, I want to say. So all the way up until then. So yeah, shout out to all you guys that are going to be off with me and Libre. Well, Libre is going to be at the game, but the rest of us are going to be stuck at home, or maybe you can look for a nearby tailgate party near you where you can go hang out with other Broncos fans and enjoy the game. I just found out that there's one in Chicago, Libre, near downtown, near Wrigley Field.
You didn't know that?
No, it's this group called Chicago Nation.
There's another tailgate group that's out there that's called First and 10 Tailgate, and it's with the guy who goes by Foz. His name is Mike Foz something, and then also that Bear Mysterio, who you say that you saw on the billboards there in Chicago.
Bear Mysterio?
Yeah.
That guy cracks me up on my drive. I swear, it's like looking at Libre through the multiverse.
He did copy me. I'm just saying.
Have you ever talked to him?
I have, actually. Yeah.
How is he?
He's pretty cool. He's a chill guy.
Wow. I'm surprised he's not a fan of the. I actually saw it, and I know we're not in the overtime segment yet, but I saw a video of I forgot what the Bear superfan is. Like his regimen for putting on his makeup and his bear claws and his hat takes him like 3-4 hours. Like that is insane.
There are some fans that do take a while to do that. Mine is I never take this off, so I just wake up looking like this.
So do you always have it? So you do always have it handy in your pocket in case you get the knock from the NFL? Like, you've been super fan of the year. It's like, hold on, he's not here. Let me go get him.
You know what's funny is like that you say that, and well, like I'm getting at the tailgate and all that while I'm doing all the setup. I don't have my mask on, and then people come up and they're like, "Where's Libre at?" and all that. I go, you know what? I've actually never met Libre. I've never met him in my life. I heard he's a great dude, but I've never met him.
And they're like, wow. Well, maybe we'll catch him when we come back around.
I go, maybe someday I'll get to meet this Mr. Infamous guy.
You know what? What the hell? Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of regulation, which means it is now time for some overtime.
Let's go.
And welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen, to our favorite segment here on the show that Libre and I like to call Broncos Overtime. So that's basically the part of the show where Libre and I let down our hair, figuratively, of course. We talk about anything going on in our lives that's not related to football. And if there's some way or form that we can bring it back to Broncos football, then we definitely will, but it is not guaranteed. But thankfully for you guys, we are still in the football season. So for the next, I want to say 20, 25 minutes, Libre and I are just going to lay it out there. And I got to tell you, Libre, I am really surprised at the amount of head coaching vacancies that are currently out there right now. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a season that I can remember where we've had this many head coaching opening spots where it's like even you and me can go apply if we wanted to, you know. Some of them we saw coming, some of them were kind of a surprise, you know. But I will say, I think that the Ravens moving on from Harbaugh was a bad choice. And
I agree 100%. So there's 25% of all head coaching positions are currently available, which is nuts. Mm-hmm. A big surprise for me as well is Tomlin. stepping down. That was a big one. He wasn't let go. He just says, you know what? It's just time for me to go. I think he knew that his time was starting to run out on him as well.
Mm-hmm.
And he ended it on his terms and not on the Rooney's. The Rooney's, you know what? You're not going to dictate what I'm going to be doing, or you're not going to fire me. I'm just going to, you know what? I'm going to step down. And he did it on Tuesday, yesterday, just as soon as the game was over. But 19 years there for him. Harbaugh, 18 years there with the Ravens. So, you know what? And again, this is what I like about the NFL as well, is that it's not that same dynasty team over and over and over. Even though, yeah, we did see KC there in the AFC Championship game for so many years in a row. But you know what? It's kept on revolving. It kept on going. You know, we had teams that beat them. We had teams that they lost to, you know. But this is what I love about the NFL, is that any given year, it could be anybody's year. Look at what the Commanders happened last year. You know, they were one of the worst teams there last year. And then just by getting Daniels, Jaden Daniels, they came up, went to the NFC Championship game. This year, he was injury prone. Didn't have the supporting cast around him as well. And look what they're at. They missed the playoffs all completely. So, but this is why I like the NFL so much, is that it could be any year, it could be any team. You don't know. I don't think it's going to happen, but you don't know what will happen with the Raiders next year. You know, even though they have the number one spot, that could be a change there with the coaching change there as well. You know, who knows what will happen. But again, the Raiders are going to Raiders. They're not going to be able to do that because Mark Davis won't allow them to do that. But this is what I love about it. I can't wait for it. It's going to be interesting on where these coaches are going to go, especially with Mike McDaniels. You know, like, where is he going to go? Like, he just was let go by Miami. Harbaugh just had an in-person interview with the Giants, I think, today. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. I can't wait to see some of this stuff, where some of these coaches are going to go. But it's going to be exciting.
Well, with the Raiders, that doesn't surprise me. I'm actually sad that they didn't keep him, because I wanted one more year of mediocrity out of the Raiders. But the Ravens is a whole different story, Libre. And I think that all the fans that I've been seeing on TikTok complaining about Harbaugh, that he's got to go, I think by midseason they're going to be yelling for him to come back, because they have to consider or keep in mind that when a new head coach comes in, what do most new coaches do when they come in, Libre? They start to
clean the house.
They clean
it up.
So it doesn't guarantee that, Lamar Jackson might be your quarterback, but the new coach could not want to deal with his antics or his injury history, or want to trade him to get higher picks to get another. Look what we went through with Russell Wilson. I tell people this all the time. I said, you guys forget that Sean Payton came in to fix Russell Wilson, not to bench him or cut him. That was a surprise to all of us. That was a surprise to me. And I was at that game, week 18, at Allegiant Stadium, and I took a picture from the nosebleeds all the way up, and I think I showed this to you guys, of the last time. It was Russell Wilson's last game as a Bronco, and he was in full uniform, as if he was getting ready to go back in, which was crazy. And I really said to myself, that man is going to walk out of Broncos country with, what was it, $35 million, something like that? And he's going to
it was a lot more than that.
Yeah, 80. I think it was 85, somewhere in that ballpark. But he's going to walk out of there, and he's going to cripple this team for 2 years, and he's going to go play with maybe one or two other teams until his contract is up. That is, I was about to curse, freaking bananas. And I'm like, there's no way. I'm like, okay, well, I guess Sean Payne's just going to stack his draft picks, wait until he gets some cap space in, and then do what he did with New Orleans. You guys have heard me and Libre say it all the time, that he was going to do what he did with New Orleans, except he didn't steal another quarterback from another team like he did with Drew Brees. He was going to draft his own quarterback this time around. So, and then when Bo Nix was drafted, Libre, we heard all the skeptics. There was a rebuilding year for the Broncos. The Broncos were going to be the worst in the division. They were just going to stack draft picks like most teams do, and then rebuild their team from scratch, follow the NFL protocol. And Sean Payton, after that Miami Dolphins game, just went completely off the rails. and took this team into a different direction. And now we stand with the number 1 seed about to play the Buffalo Bills this weekend. So
the best thing about that, before we go any further on that, we are the number 1 seed with still one of the highest dead cap monies right now. A little over $30 million right now that we had dead money where we couldn't use on anybody because we're still paying Russell. Being able to get that number 1 seed with this disadvantage of not being able to sign these other players itself. Now that we come off of this year, we get a majority of all of that money back so that we're able to spend on some players. And trust me, Sean Payton is going to be able to get some high marquee players that are going to come in here, and we're going to be able to pay because we now have the funds to do it. And trust me, this team is only going to get better and better. Look what we did. We're number 1 for a reason because of Sean Payton and what we're able to do and bring out the abilities of some of these players that are probably overperforming of what they're doing. But guess what? We did it with this dead money. And now that we have this money coming back next year to us, we're going to be a scary team. Now that once we get some good talent in here, this team is going to be scary good for several years.
I wholeheartedly agree with you, man. But again, these teams that got these head coaching spots open, you guys need to get ready because whoever comes in, they're going to come in and they're going to do the same, song and pony dance during the off season, at the introduction conference and stuff. Some of your favorite players, they might not be around to stick around any longer. So, I think it's going to make for one of the most interesting off seasons we've seen in years, Libre. Now, one name that is tied to leaving Broncos country after the season's over, Libre, is Vance Joseph. So Vance Joseph is going to have another tough decision to make. He made one last year where he decided to stay with the team because he was already being looked at for a possible head coaching spot. The further the Broncos make it, and God hope they win a Super Bowl, his name is really going to be shining in bright lights. So it is really, and Shai Vargas says keep Vance Joseph. It's not up to the Broncos to keep him. If Vance Joseph wants to leave, he's going to leave.
He gone.
Yeah, he's gone. So I think Vance has got to really sit down and ask himself, does he really want to go round 2 with a head coaching spot? And basically, maybe he learned from his first time as a head coach with the Broncos. But I think one of the worst feelings for a head coach is getting fired. It's one thing if you leave under your own accord, like Peyton did or Tomlin did, even though they're technically still under contract, but they still left. It's a whole nother thing when you leave because you were unable to do everything that you promised when you got hired. And you didn't win enough games, or you didn't win a Super Bowl. You didn't deliver. So there's some easy jobs like what's the freaking what's that one head coaching job that they were saying is so easy? Oh, the Falcons. The Falcons head coaching job is damn near already on a silver platter because they have a lot of good things going for them. The quarterback is still probably in the main issue, but I mean, they're starting to show some turnaround towards the end. They tried to fight for their head coach, Raheem Morris, but unfortunately it wasn't enough, and Arthur Smith had to let him go. Not Arthur Smith, the owner, Bank Smith, thank you, had to show him the door. So. And then there are other teams like the Steelers, who I was telling Libre before the show. I don't know if you guys knew this, and I said it on the show before. I'm sure I have. The Steelers have the most expensive paid defense in the league. All those players are like so tied into their salary cap that they are going to be in salary cap hell before anybody realizes it. So that Steelers job, whoever takes it up next, is definitely going to be it's going to be a teardown. That's the only way I can see it. Kind of like, excuse me, got the hiccups. Kind of like where the Saints are, because the Saints are kind of still got salary cap issues going into next year, and lucky for them, they have a really offensive minded coach like Kellen Moore, Libre, who can pretty much, it looks like he can pretty much do whatever he can with anybody. I mean, whoever thought that he can go that what he did with what's his name, So or Shao.
Oh yeah.
And Philadelphia really, really would love to have Kellen Moore back because ever since he left, that offense that Philly had last year left with him. And it was so bad that the Eagles had to fire their offensive coordinator, who literally became the scapegoat for that horrible that was a terrible loss.
That was.
They had. And it was just kind of like eventually you're going to, and the Eagles, that's another team that's got a problem, Libre, like AJ Brown. I had somebody ask me, like, wouldn't it be great to have AJ Brown in Denver? And I'm like, you know what? The Broncos do need a wide receiver, and I'm pretty sure they're going to go get one either in free agency once they get that salary cap money back, or I don't know if in the draft, unless they find a way to draft up or find a diamond in the rough. But to me, AJ Brown, I'm not saying he's a bad wide receiver, but I feel like I don't think that his mantra or his energy would fit in Broncos country. Because I mean, just look at how he snapped at his head coach on the sideline this past week. When it was technically him, he couldn't catch the ball. And he was snapping at the head coach. And that's something we don't need. We've already had that. Remember when that offensive lineman got into Russell Wilson's face and the head coach was just standing there and didn't do almost cursed again, a damn thing about it? We don't need that here.
But again, like the way that they explained it, it's like they're two passionate type of guys and so forth. And I guess it's been going on all year long. But what I heard, especially with AJ Brown, is like he is such a cancer in the locker room as well. Mm-hmm. Like after the game, he went and said bye to certain players and then just bounced. He didn't stay for any after stuff, like meetings or anything like that. He just straight out saying, all right, guys, I'm out. And he's probably just going to some of the guys that he's real close to and says, all right, guys, love you. See you until maybe OTAs, whenever the case may be. But he's just that cancer in that room that I think they try to he's really good, but he's also that cancer where you can't deal with it anymore. Just like Antonio Brown, it's the same type of player, almost like that. Like, are you going to see, and you might be able to see that if AJ Brown goes on, if he continues to be on the team or goes somewhere else, is he going to do what he did when he just takes off his pads and quit in the middle of the season, middle of the game? So I think just with him itself, they're probably wanting to count their losses. Like, you know what? Let's just go. We're out. Let's maybe trade him because I don't know his contract situation as well. So get him out of there. Hopefully they can get something for him. But again, the teams, the GMs already see what he's capable of doing, and it's not big. Is the risk and reward going to be good enough for it? Do you want that type of player in your locker room? Not really. You don't. But I want to go back to one of my comments about when I was saying you can't see me and talking about people not recognize me. Mm-hmm. Tim Dog was one of them. He goes, yeah, that was me. I did that to you, Libre. And it was funny too. He's like, it was probably one of the first times that I met him too. It's like he comes up, hey, we're looking for Libre. I go, hey, that's me. He goes, oh, what's going on? Like, it was pretty funny.
Your doppelganger, like, hang on, he's in the bathroom. Let me go get him.
Let me go get him. And then right here, we're talking about Bear Mysterio. He's part of the All Fans United City to City group. And that's one of the fan groups that Missy headlines over here in the Denver chapter. So if you guys are out there, look them up, follow them. She's doing wonderful things there with them.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know there was a Bear Mysterio up until this episode.
Que mentiras.
But I think let's talk a little bit about the divisional round, Libra. Now, obviously, we've talked a good amount about the Bills and the Broncos, and we already know the Broncos are going to win. But what are your thoughts about some of the other games here? We have the Patriots and the Texans. What do you have? Who do you have in that?
You know what? That one's going to actually be a really good game. It's going to be a lot closer than what I think people think. I think people are giving credit too much of with the with the Texans being because they do have a great defense, and this is going to be one of the true tests that Drake May is going to have. But it's going to come down to the very last possession. Who has that ball last, and who makes the fewer mistakes as well. But I have the Patriots coming in and winning this game.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to say New England too. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing that New England has is that they actually have a pretty good running game in Travion Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson, and they punished the Chargers pretty good in that game. You know, Khalil Mack was trying his best, and even Derwin James, as good as a safety as he is, he looked pretty helpless out there in that game. Like it was crazy to make that Chargers defense look so vulnerable, like they had no business being there. And while we're on the subject, I think Fred, I hate the Chargers. Okay, I really do. And I'm not saying I feel bad for when they lost because I did, and I'm glad they lost because to me they suck. Chiefs suck. The Raiders suck. However, I think that the Chargers should start looking at maybe Justin Herbert just isn't that guy because he's been to how many playoff games so far, and he's lost 3. Thank you. And he's lost all 3 of them. He's never made it past the wild card round. So, yeah, some people are saying, yeah, it's not his fault his offensive line got beat up, which is true. It's not his fault. The Chargers always go into the week 1 with some type of injury, and they end up being one of the worst injured teams in the league. But this is a next man league. That's just how it is, Libre. And when one guy goes down, yeah, the next guy isn't going to be as good as the starter, obviously, but you got to make, chicken scratch out of chicken, you know what. So it's just like, to me, I hope they don't change. I hope they ride Herbert all the way to the end. But I started when I saw, what's that guy's name on TikTok? Tico. I don't know if you follow him, Libre. Some of his takes are good. Some of his takes are really bad. For some reason, he really hates Denver. And he's a Dolphins fan, so that doesn't make any sense to me. But
and I don't follow him.
But once in a while, he does make a good point, and he was the one that kind of brought that into my attention. But again, as long as Harbaugh's running the show, I'm pretty sure Herbert's not going anywhere. Now, when Harbaugh leaves and a new coach comes in, then maybe they'll start looking at, hey, who else can we get?
So, one thing that I'm going to say is that this is the 6th year for Herbert being in the league. 0-3. Come Saturday evening, Bo Nix will have more playoff victories than him.
I agree.
And it's not going to be, and he might even have 3. He might be 3-1. Bo will be 3-1 after this year. If everything works out perfectly fine, we'll be 3-1.
Nice.
You see what I did there?
Yeah. Next, we got Seattle versus the 49ers. NFC West rematch here, Libre, in Seattle. So we kind of talked about this a little while ago. I did say that it sucks for the 49ers going into this game that they're not going to have George Kittle. But one thing you got to give Kyle Shanahan credit for is he is able to do what he can with tape. So, and a lot of tape. Now, I don't know what happened in week 18. I don't know if it was maybe the 49ers just not playing to their full strength, where they only had 3 points, I believe it was. And, it was an ugly loss to the Seahawks.
It was also that they couldn't win the division, I think, at that point as well. So I think it was already out of reach. So they're like, you know what? Let's just rest some of our guys. Let's not give them anything more that they can probably use if we are going to meet them up in the divisional round. You have to remember, it's Kyle Shanahan. He has the Shanahan system itself. You still have CMC. You have one of the best running backs in the league right now. And yes, George Kittle was there. Too bad he had to tear his Achilles. But you know what? Like, they can still. I still have faith in Shanahan. It's just the Shanahan system itself. He's also that next type of person up. Who's going to be that guy that's going to be there for them? So for me, I do feel like this is still going to be a good, close game. But I do feel like it's going to be the 49ers. I think they can go into Seattle and win that game.
I'm actually going to say that I think that Seattle wins this one here, Libre. I
can go both ways as well, and this is one of those hard games where you can make a fight and you can make the argument for either team. Yes, Seattle probably has the second or third best defense in the league, but I feel like because it is a divisional game, still, I think of it, even though it's the divisional round, it's a divisional game. You've seen them twice already. It's going to be a very close game. You know these guys very well. But I feel like the 49ers are going to want it a little bit more, and they're going to pull it off, for me personally.
12th man, baby. And then we have the Rams versus the Bears, Libre. Matthew Stafford versus Caleb Williams. I mean, offensively, I think that the Rams have it, but defensively, I think that they're going to struggle with Caleb Williams and the Bears. I don't know why. But I think the Bears win this. And the only reason I say that is because Matthew Stafford didn't look all that Matthew Staffordy against the Panthers. They barely won that game. Yeah. So you're not going to come into Chicago and barely beat the Bears. I don't think so. Because Caleb Williams is going to go out there and, be the cardiac Bears, so to speak. So they're going to take risks. They might see plays never do. And it might be Matthew Stafford trying to keep up with Caleb Williams instead of the opposite, the other way around, Libre. So I'm going to pick the Bears to win that game.
I am going to go with the orange and blue as well. The Bears.
You don't even live
just like how you just said it, though. I think that this team, riding off that high, beating the Packers with the comeback fashion, the way that they did, and I don't think it's going to be the same way that it's going to be a close game, but it's not going to be where the Bears have to fight their way back to win the game. It's going to probably be going back and forth, but because, like how you said, the game is in Chicago. I don't know what the weather is like this weekend in there for Chicago. Yeah, so it's going to be I feel that that's going to be part of the factor as well. But I feel that the Bears are going to be, because they're at home, they have their crowd, and that's the advantage that they're going to need. If the game was in LA, I'd probably pick LA. But I do think it's the Bears will win this game.
Ooh. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for our OT segment. We would like to thank everybody that was here in the live chat with us. Your cousin Juan, of course. Bronco Rob, who showed up a little late, but it's better late than never. Bronco Rob saying, "What's up, fellas? My high salute to you, brother." Shai Vargas, my high Missy, of course. That's spam. We still get spam. Tim Dog, Jay Weaver, Joe Blow, who I don't know. I'm pretty sure was probably a Bills fan, but I can't prove it. Guillermo Morales. Who else am I made? Oh, Patricia Montes. And of course, Jay Weaver.
I miss Jay Weaver. I don't know what else you said.
Thank you guys so much for being here with us. My high salute to you, all of you guys, and helping us get ready for this upcoming matchup and really, really exhilarating game that's going to be this Saturday against those pesky Buffalo Bills. Before we head out of here, we just want to remind you guys to please, if you could show your support for us here on the Orange Blue Network, if you could subscribe, share, comment, and like on this and all the other shows we have here on the network. If you haven't been caught up and you just want to know the know to get to know the know, then please feel free to show your support. It's very much appreciated. Help us get out the message to all of Broncos country that Libre and I are here to stay. Well, at least I am. If Libre gets famous and he gets like a deal or whatever, then I don't know if we'll be streaming from Mahi Stadium.
You know what? That's hopefully the goal. And if we can get that to happen, by all means, let's get it to go.
For any business inquiries, you can email at broncostalk2020@gmail.com. For those of you listening to us on audio, regardless of the platform, please, your support is much appreciated. 5-star reviews are very well appreciated. If you'd like, you can screenshot that review and send it to our Twitter handles there at the bottom of the screen. Mine is at a 6'10" Mexican. Bronco Libre is at Bronco Libre 52AT. Shout out to the sponsor of today's show, which is W. If you use the code OBN10, you'll get 10% off your order at checkout with all of your favorite W products, flavors, and solutions. Thank you so much, W, for being a supporter of this and all the shows here on the Orange and Blue Network. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back here next Wednesday, victorious out of our freaking minds. And Libre promised us that we're going to have a big bowl of chicken wings on the show next week. So,
yes, I will have some on Saturday as well. And we're also, like I mentioned earlier, we're having buffalo burgers and buffalo wings.
And Libre said he's going to go through a table. So hopefully it's not him and his stunt double.
That's right.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will see you all next Wednesday here on the Orange and Blue Network at the same time and the same Bronco channel. I meant to say Bronco time and Bronco channel, kind of like the old Batman shows. But you guys know what I meant. But ladies and gentlemen, we are going to head on out of here. Enjoy the rest of your day, evening, night, whatever it is, whenever you're listening to. And as always, go Broncos!
Go Broncos! Let's go!
Woo! Bronco chain spinning.